he's just not an out-and-out striker. Like, nothing happened that first half because of the team. And basically 4 centre midfielders on the pitch, shoehorning players into positions they're not good at. And that first half proved the starting lineup was absolutely ridiculous because we were horrendous that first half.
Jack, bring it. I'm almost speechless, to be honest, just with Harry recapping like that.
I mean, it was a really tough watch, wasn't it? And the Toti Gomez thing was the first thing that stood out to me as just strange, really, because we all know that, you know, bringing a player in like that to play in what's the really important position for us is just weird when you've got deputies ready and waiting sort of on the bench who are proven playing in that position at that level this season. But the whole display, just from start to finish, it was actually quite worrying. And the one thing that I don't want to happen is I don't want the fact that we somehow managed to get a point, which we didn't deserve, by the way. We did not deserve a point from that game at all. We had one shot on target against Nottingham Forest and somehow scored from that, despite having 72% possession. It's an absolute shambles, and it's just all over the place, really. And I don't know how we got away with just scraping a point from that game, because we didn't deserve it. Forest, the better team, they created the better chances. They had more chances than we did. Granted, we had a load of possession, but what good's all this possession if all you're going to do is pass it around the back and the midfield, and you're scared of getting into your own final third? And yeah, shocking, really. I mean, it's just lucky, really, really lucky that Podence popped up with that goal. It was a neat finish. I know there was other areas in his game, which we'll talk about in a bit, but it's a real get out of jail free card, really. And it's just, looking at the last 2 games, it's just so erratic, and you just can't predict it, because Leeds defensively all over the place, but, you know, at least we scored a couple of goals. And on Saturday, defensively overall a little bit better, but we didn't look like scoring a goal, did we, really? Until we did somehow. But it's just having one shot on target against Forest, and then prior to that letting in 4 goals at home against Leeds, 2 teams in this relegation battle with us. I'm sorry, but it's not good enough, and I don't know what's going on. And for the first time now, up until before these last couple of games, I was not that worried. But you've got to think now: is there any team that's all over the place as we are at the moment? And I don't think so. And teams are scraping together points somehow. Luckily, again, last night, the results have gone our way, really, and helped us out. But I just don't know where to start with it, really.
It was a feisty Morgan Gibbs-White derby, wasn't it, Harry? But I think it comes back to Lopetegui not really knowing his favoured 11 or our best 11. I know 5 out of the 9 substitutes on the day were signings from the summer onwards. What does that tell you? You know, Sarabia came in thinking, you know, oh, hello, we got a player here. He's not made an impact. There's a couple of others that you could put in the same category. I mean, we're going to mention about Guedes later. I mean, I completely forgot that he played for us this season. It seems very, very haphazard, and I don't know where we go from here, because, like Jack said, teams below us seem to be picking up points. And actually, when you look at the fixture list, there's, I think, only 1 or 2 in and around us that we have left to play, and the rest are going to be very much underdog games.
Yeah, on the bench, I think I'll talk about that first. I mean, he had to make subs, didn't he? I thought Bueno, when he came on, it was just nice to have a natural left back there. I get he wasn't fully fit, so that's probably why he didn't start. I thought Costa made a difference, because I think he come on for Dawson, didn't he? In Dawson's second half, we've praised Dawson so much, but when they were counter-attacking on us with pace, when like Gibbs-White, Johnson are running at us, he looked all of 32 or 33, whatever he is. I don't know his exact age, but yeah. So Costa coming on, thought he did okay. He did well for the goal, with his back to goal to lay it back to Neto. I think he took a deflection. I thought Adamas from the start, typical. They just doubled and tripled up on him. So we tried to give it to him. He tried to make things happen, but it was inevitable he'd come off, because he had one of those games where he didn't really do much. And yeah, so look, Podence come off the bench and got us the goal. So I suppose the subs did make an impact, but it's just ridiculous. And you talk about other teams around us. Yes, results going our way, but we've got to concentrate on ourselves. We can't just keep relying on other results. I think we're on 28 points now. I think we need 38 points to survive. I do. I think that's how much will keep us up. I've heard people say 32, 34. I think that's way too low. especially with everyone fighting for their lives and the points the teams are on. So it's very worrying. And I know if Bayliss was here, he said, didn't he, at the turn of the year, he thinks we'll get relegated. He thought that Lopetegui's manager bounce wouldn't last long. And to be honest, his words are ringing a little bit true at the moment. But I'm still got to stay optimistic and think we can just creep over the line somehow.
Daniel Podence has been charged by the FA after he allegedly spat at Brennan Johnson during the game. And this was in the 90th minute. VAR looked at it at the time, Jack. Nothing doing. What's this all about?
I don't know, to be honest. And it's an interesting one to pick up on because, let's be honest, it looked like, I mean, he obviously, even if he didn't spit at him, he pretended to, or he was trying to make the action to like he was going to. However, if VAR had evidence to prove that he did, they would have sent him off at the time. And the reason they didn't is because you can't actually see any spit coming from his mouth. He's just sort of doing a blowing action.
Gesture.
They said the same thing on Match of the Day. And to be honest, I'm not really buying it. I think the Forest player, if he had been properly spat on, he would have made more of it. But I think he saw like he was doing the motion, and then was like, to the ref to try and do it. And they all crowded around the ref, and obviously no one got booked for that. But that's a different story. So how they can actually enforce a ban if there's no clear evidence retrospectively, I don't know. And if there was evidence, they'd have used it at the time. So to me, the whole thing just doesn't make sense. But with everything we've seen from the FA and decisions this season, then it just doesn't matter, does it? It really makes no difference whether it makes sense or not because they'll try and enforce it. But he was silly to even make the gesture. I agree with that, but I don't think he properly gobbed in his face because firstly, you'd have seen it. Secondly, the reaction from the Forest player would have been different. And to now come in and charge someone with like allegedly spitting, like unless there's conclusive evidence, what do you do? Because opponents can just appeal and say, well, I didn't do that. And what they can say, well, we think you did, so we're going to give you. It would be at least a 3-game ban, wouldn't it? Potentially more than that.
It is a 6-game ban for spitting.
I mean, where's this fit in with the whole sort of judicial system in the country? Because like, we think you did it, but we can't prove it, but we're gonna charge you anyway. That's it. You're going to prison because we think you did it, but we can't prove it. But
so their wording was allegedly in the statement, wasn't it? That's just come out earlier. So it'd be interesting to see. I think Wolves have got to respond by the 12th of April. But for me, look, like you say, VAR, if there was fluid that come out his mouth, he'd have been sent off on the day. But why is Podence even doing that? I know he didn't actually spit at him, but why is he even doing the gesture? Like, why is he even giving them a chance to send him off? It's just ridiculous.
True, but they are a bunch of dicks, aren't they? Like there's a bit of history there, I think, isn't there? Particularly with the League Cup game and Gibbs-White and everything.
But still,
so I can see why it's silly, I know, but I can see why they were kind of rolled up. But
for me, spitting, even if it's just gesture, is just like the lowest of the low, isn't it? Shove him or something. You know what I mean? Get a booking, shove him in. I know Podence probably wouldn't move him because he's about 2 foot tall, but yeah, I don't like that. But for me, it weren't a sending off because, like you say, nothing come out of his mouth. It's like threatening. It's like flinching a punch, isn't it, or something? Like you flinch and it don't actually
exactly
do it.
The same, yeah.
So but like we there's not a very good feeling towards Wolves, is there, from the FA at the moment? So I don't know if that's going to help.
I think it'll probably come down to intent, won't it? That will be whether he did it or not. Whether it's the intent that it's probably going to end up with a 6-game ban, and that's going to be a big problem.
Look what Tom's put. We asked to come on the podcast, by the way, Tom. So I don't know where you're in the comments, but yeah. So Johnson early on in the game, he did get booked for diving, didn't he? On that one when Toti Gomez was all over him, and what people were saying was Podence like doing a blowing gesture to him to say, "I'll fall over again." You know what I mean? Dive again. So there was
maybe
like blowing like I'll blow you over because you dive. But just on that, sorry to change it quickly, but before we get into the Podence thing, did you think the Adama one was a penalty?
Yeah, all day.
I didn't think it was, and I also didn't think he should have got booked for diving. So it's weird because I think he obviously probably felt the arm on his shoulder, Adama, and just went down. I think he should have stayed on his feet. So for me, I didn't mind that one not being given.
I think if that had been in a different area of the pitch, then I think it would have probably been given as a foul. The problem that I think we're having now, though, is the fact that VAR is there, is the referees are more reluctant to make a decision. They're just letting it go to VAR, and if it's clear or obvious, then they can correct it. And I think what's happening with us, particularly in these sort of decisions where we think we're getting well, we are being a bit hard done by is a lot of these things we're thinking they're a foul, but because they're not hitting the criteria for clear and obvious, they're not being overturned as well at the same time. So I think it was probably a foul. I agree. It probably would have been a softish penalty that I was been a bit annoyed if it was against us, but we're due something. We just feel like we should get one at some point. I was a bit worried just mentioning when Totti got turned, because watching that the first time, I thought it was a penalty because he was all over him a little bit at the start, but that was actually a good call by the ref.
Good refereeing, yeah.
It definitely wasn't. I was a bit worried when he went down. I was like, shit, it looked like he was properly all over him then, because he was to begin with, but they kind of had a bit of each other. But that was a good call. But yeah, it's the Traore one isn't as bad as some of the calls that we've had, I think, in recent weeks to not be given. But I still think you could argue it was a penalty.
Harry, I think you made a point in the group saying that our disciplinary record attitude is terrible. Just explain that a little bit. Do you think any of it is warranted? Do you think it needs to call for calm?
We've recently just been charged another 57 grand for the Leeds incident. We've just been charged today. Like, who is it? The staff. One of our coaching staff's been charged. Obviously, Podence potentially could be getting charged. Lopetegui gets booked every other week. I think he has got to just try and, not only because we can't keep getting these yellow and red cards, because it could really affect us. Maybe I bet Jeff Shee's sat there thinking, do I really want Wolves to be this club that everyone just looks at and thinks, Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? Always on the sidelines fighting with the other managers and staff, always getting players booked, always getting charged by the FA. I've never seen so many tweets pop up on the timeline on social media from the bloody FA charging Wolves. It's getting a bit silly. I think he's just got to try and sort that out. I know he's passionate, and I suppose that rubs off on the players, doesn't it, when they see him on the sideline going absolutely tits. But I think he's got to rein it in a bit and try and calm it down and try and get our disciplinary record in order, because it's getting really silly now.
What would you rather see, though, Jack? I mean, I'm all for passion, but I suppose they are technically crossing the line, aren't they?
I don't mind it that much, to be honest. I kind of like the us versus them mentality, and that's the bit of fight that I do like at the moment. And I don't really care if everyone hates us, and with some of the decisions that we have had, we've had every right to be aggrieved, because we've had goals disallowed at Liverpool for offside when there was no camera there. We've had Lamina sent off for crowding the referee, which the Forest players were doing all day on Saturday, and no one ever said a word then. So we've got every right to be aggrieved for some of it. So I don't really care if that's the way he gets the players motivated. Then fair enough. Obviously, the other side of that is we're going to have game bans for Johnny's still suspended. Neves has got his tender booking now, so that's out for a couple of games and changes everything. But it comes with the territory a little bit. But I don't mind us having that little bit of fight. Really, I like that. But I know it does need to be controlled. But I suppose then, if we're in a day and age where if Podence does end up getting a 6-game ban for maybe spitting, then we just need to stop it altogether, didn't it? But I go back every week and I say it, and you have to say the same things. And would this have happened if it was a Liverpool player who did it? And I don't think it would have. So
it wouldn't if it was Bruno Fernandes, would it?
No, he pushed.
He's got away with so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just on the game again. Sorry, their goal. I personally thought Totti was at fault for his positioning, and a lot of people are pointing at Sarr for coming out and stopping. But can you blame Totti? He's not a left back, so he's out there, gets caught out of position. Shock, it's going to happen. But we were lucky to only concede one, weren't we? Like we said.
How would you rate the point now, Harry?
It's an absolute massive point in the grand scheme of things. We didn't deserve to get anything out of that game. We got outplayed. Like Jack said, Forest had way more chances. If they could finish, which is pretty ironic because that's what you'd say about Wolves usually, they could have won by 3 or 4. And it's just lucky that it dropped to Podence because, of all people, although he's frustrating and his fancy flicks are frustrating, when you get him in front of goal, he is quite composed, and he showed great composure to flick it onto his right foot and smash it into the net. And it felt, I said after the game, it felt like a win getting that late goal, because I did not see it coming. I couldn't see a goal coming from anywhere. And like you say, one shot on target. Our most possession we've ever had in the Premier League game, but you see the heat maps that have been coming out lately. It's just all around the back, nowhere near the box. So what's the point in passing it around? Forest was letting us have the ball. So an absolute smash and grab, really. And if I was a Forest fan, I'd be gutted that they didn't get all 3 points.
it's one of those games which for Forest could really be a turning point, because they'd have been really gutted with that. And then obviously they played Leeds last night and lost as well. So really that feels like 2 defeats in the space of 4 days for them, really. I know they got a point against us, but that's what it'll feel like. And those are the sort of things at this point in the season which can really screw you. I mean, we haven't got anything to shout about, because that was honestly up there with the worst performance of the season, I think. And just only having 1 shot on target against them lot is inexcusable. So if you think back to the League Cup game after Lopetegui just come in, we played really well in that game and really should have won in normal time. And I was expecting a similar sort of thing where we'd be up for it, we'd go out, then we create chances. And I just don't know what was happening on. It was just, let's just keep the ball and play it around the midfield. And then there's just nothing up front. Like Harry said earlier, Cunha can't play up front on his own. I think if we want to try and score goals to keep us up now, but that's what we've got to do. We if we don't score another goal, we're down. We need to start putting players in the box and playing with 2 up front, I think, most of the time. Just you got to go for it.
Let's have a look at the next Premier League game, which is against Chelsea. And I'm sure that at this stage of the season, normally saying, "Oh, we're only 10 points behind Chelsea," you'd be going, "Chelsea must be having an awful season," which they are by their standards. Harry, Frank Lampard will be in charge. He's been put in interim charge of Chelsea until the end of the season after they sacked Graham Potter at the weekend. Now, it could be this new manager bounce thing that 9 times out of 10 it does happen. I think it probably will with a side like Chelsea. But remember, I think was Frank Lampard's last game in charge of Chelsea against Wolves.
Oh, was it? I didn't know that.
I know, was it?
I think it was either his first or last. And I think it might have been his last. Don't quote me.
I couldn't tell you.
Something sticks in my mind of it as it all going to pot against Wolves. Huge game. Jack's mentioned potentially playing 2 up front. There's going to have to be at least 1 change because Ruben Neves, as we said, is starting a 2-match suspension.
Well, first of all, we're going to lose this game. There's no 2 ways about it. I'm not even going to pretend I'm optimistic. They've got an amazing squad of individual players, but they clearly didn't like playing under Potter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He had no bloody Harry Potter, is he? He was shocking. But Lampard coming in is just that feel-good factor they need around the club, innit? And it's just then they're going to take it out on us and they're going to spank us by 3 or 4. They are. They've got amazing players, and they've got, I can't believe they've only got 39 points. They're only, you know what I mean? They're only just above us in the table. They're going to batter us.
If Frank Lampard wasn't Frank Lampard, if he was anybody else, he wouldn't be just keep walking into Premier League jobs like he is. This is the thing I don't understand, is what has he actually shown?
Did he do such a bad job, though, at Chelsea? Looking at him now, he was in and around the top 4 with them. He had that season where they couldn't sign any players, and they were up near the top 4. They battered us at Molineux in that one game, if you remember.
But watching Everton fans think, I mean, what's
true?
Like, look at them in the table. Yeah. They're in this battle with us when they shouldn't be anywhere near it, really.
I think this is quite a clever move from Chelsea. He's just interim manager, so he won't be there next year. It's just to get him in because their season's done, isn't it? Really, I think they're still in the cup competition, aren't they? But
Champions League,
yeah, it's just a feel-good factor move. It's just to get the players to feel good and try and get a tune out of them because Potter couldn't do it, could he? I think a few of their players, when he got sacked, were liking the post on Instagram, so maybe they were just down tools and just not performing for him. And now, like I say, they've got absolute superstars. They're all going to click, turn it on, and beat us about 5-0.
How many, just on the Potter thing, but how many people did you see on Twitter or Facebook within half an hour of that happening is saying that we should get him in the summer?
Oh no, get Lopetegui out, and get Brendan Rodgers in was the other one I saw.
Christ, I mean, it just shows you the farce it is football, isn't it? Really,
we've been after Lopetegui for bloody years, and we're just going to get rid of him and bring Potter in now. You've got to give the bloke a chance. He started off well, didn't it? You know, come on. Jesus.
No, it's ridiculous. Thanks to Aaron in the comments who's rectified my stat that wasn't really a stat. It was Thomas Tuchel's first match.
So we got sacked just before us.
Just before. So it isn't the first time that new managers come in playing us. We did get a draw that game from memory. I mean, Harry, you wanted to talk about picking our best 11. I mean, probably no better time to do it now.
Well, I was saying let's pick it with everyone available, but without Neves in. I personally, for this game, do you know what? The team we started against Liverpool at home, it was basically a 4-4-2. I want to see us play that sort of formation, but controversial. I wouldn't have Nunes in the team. I know he's on the left that day. If Hwang's fit, which I don't know if he is, and he's probably not, I'd have him on the right. I'd have Sarabia, and this is stupid as well because I'm contradicting myself again, but I would have Cunha up there. I'd have Sarabia just playing off Cunha. On the left, it's a pick-up, innit? I hate to say it, but I probably would have to go with Podence. Just because I wouldn't have Nunes out there because he's not really his position. In midfield, well, the weekend, I'd probably have Nunes and Lamina as the two. Some people probably would say Moutinho, or even Babacar Traoré might get a shout. But for me, Nunes and Lamina as the two in midfield. The back four, I'd have Bueno straight back in there. Yeah. Ait-Nouri's going to be nowhere near it because, as we've said, he's gone all Michael out of Prison Break and gone skinhead because he's fell out with Lopetegui. Semedo right back. You've got to say Dawson and Kilman, but the way Dawson played against Forest the weekend wouldn't surprise me if Collins gets a sneaky look. And obviously, Sarr in goal, who also has been questioned. So, yeah, for me, a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1-1, depending on how you want to look at it, with Sarabia. I know he hasn't pulled up any trees, but in that game against Liverpool, when he was just playing off Cunha, floating about, trying to make things happen, that's when we've been most effective going forward. So that's the sort of formation I'd want to see, and that's the sort of team I'd want to see.
Jack, any changes for you on that one?
Well, so funnily enough, when you asked this question in the group earlier, I started making a note of it. And the same thing I did, I was like, we need a 4-4-2 again. When you go back and looking at the times we have looked good, particularly in the Liverpool game, but, against some of the teams when Lopetegui first came in, that's the kind of thing I'd go for. So it's pretty similar, really. So the back four of the Semedo, Dawson, Kilman and Bueno, which I think is what Harry said. I would play Ait-Nouri on the left because we had some joy with that at some point towards the start. We had some joy with Ait-Nouri, and I do think, as I said earlier, we're going to have to start scoring goals if we want to stay in this league. And then the midfield three, just for Saturday, of Nunes, Lamina and Moutinho, you'd have to put Nunes out on the right, basically. Then up front, as I said earlier, he can't keep playing Cunha up there on his own. I don't think he's that sort of player. So it was either be Cunha or Podence, then behind Costa or Jimenez. It doesn't matter. Like, to be honest with you, probably Costa because he did all right when he came on the other day. But we need to at least be doing 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1, whatever way we look at it, I think.
You mentioned Ait-Nouri. I completely agree. I'd love to see him out on the left, to be honest. He had some good performances there. When he came on against Villa, is one that stands out, and obviously scored against Everton. They've got to have fell out, haven't they? For him to not be in that squad Saturday. Obviously, we'll never find out, but it must be...
what's happened? Like, it's strange.
I remember ages ago there was a clip of Cody saying that Ait-Nouri used to turn up late for training and that, so maybe they've clashed over something like that. I don't know.
I mean, it's not the time to fall out, is it? You can't be falling out at this stage of the season. If that has happened, right, we don't know. So no, when he was left out a few weeks ago, he said it was for tactical reasons, didn't he? But
Podence, remember? He left Podence out a few times.
He has left Podence out a few times, and he obviously came on and scored the equaliser the other day. So I think just because you're out of a squad with Lopetegui doesn't mean you're completely out of his plans by a long stretch, because he does change that, and that's the joy of actually having a squad of players rather than just the 14 that we seem to have had for the past 3 or 4 years. But I mean, we just got to, if they have fallen out, they've got to get over it now, because the team is more important, and we just need to create some chances. I mean, one of you shared the heat map of our possession on the group earlier and how that looked on Saturday. It's like we've had 72% possession in the Premier League away from home. That's incredible. That's really, really good. The problem is the ball's only been gone in the box about 3 times. It's like 5 touches in the box the whole game. And just what's going on with that? Like, there's no point having all this possession if we're just going to sit back and then you're trying to play either, get Traoré to beat people down the wing and cross it into bloody one bloke on his own. You've got to find the balance, really. And possession ain't going to keep us up. Goals are. I'd rather it be like the Leeds game, to be honest with you. I know it was a shambles at the back, but you can point to the individual areas there. And, we did create chances and we did look dangerous, but I'd much rather... Probably what Lopetegui's done after the Leeds game is thought we need to shore this up a bit, actually, because defensively it was a shambles, which it was. But we can't do that at the expense of not even getting the ball in the box, because Forest just nullified everything we had, and it was just ridiculous at some points.
Well, score prediction, Harry.
5-0 Chelsea.
5-0.
Yeah, I think we're going to get absolutely battered, honestly. I really do. I think they're going to click and they're going to kill us.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I'm not as scared of the Frank Lampard manager bounce, because, like I said earlier, he wouldn't be anywhere near a Premier League team if his name wasn't Frank Lampard, if I'm brutally honest. And, you can never predict with this, because sometimes we just turn up, don't we? It's a long bank holiday weekend at home. I'd fancy us to get something from this if Neves was available. That's the thing that's really going to kill us, because without him in recent weeks, the times that he's gone off, we've just looked even more lost. So I'm with Harry. I think this will be a tough game, but I think we might do better than you think. But I'm going to go 2-1 defeat.
2-1 defeat.
Come on, Sam. Change your prediction.
I think we might edge it. I do. I'm going to have to go 2-1 because we always concede. There's no way.
You did say you'd been drinking before the stream, hadn't you? So
that's it. Yeah, absolutely. It's just kicking in now. I mean, to be honest, it wouldn't be the first time this season that we've taken points off Frank Lampard's side. So, read that what you will. Let's get your latest betting odds and ticket news.
Do you want to start with tickets, Jack, and I'll give a few bets up.
Yes, he says, not having everything ready. But so there is a few single seats actually knocking around for the game on Saturday. It's a Category A game, so they are quite expensive, going up to 55 quid, I think, in the Billy Wright. But I think there is a chance to still get down to the Molineux on Saturday if you want to, but obviously very limited availability there. Tickets are now on general sale for the Brentford game. There's a few left for that one as well. Actually, and also we've got Crystal Palace coming up, haven't we, on the 25th? So, look at this home games against Brentford, game against Crystal Palace. There's got to be looking to take stuff from those games, haven't you? Really, just thinking out loud there. But yeah, the tickets for Brentford and Palace are both now on general sale, one per supporter number. Next away game is a visit to the King Power Stadium when we play Leicester on the 22nd of April. Nice allocation for that one, actually. It'll get quite far down the points because there's nearly 3,300. That is currently on sale on the points, actually, a couple of days into that. But yeah, they'll hopefully go quite far down. And then the other away game that we got ticket information for recently is the away trip to Brighton, which is the week after on the 29th. Allocation of 3,000 for that one. I believe that's currently on sale to the away season ticket holders, or if not, it is very soon. But yep, again, look at all those games. I know Brighton are a different grade this season, really toughy. But the rest of them, we've got to be looking to take points from, really, particularly if we don't get it on Saturday. We've got to look at the two home games and the away trip to Leicester. We've got to be taking points from those games, don't we? Really.
Betting odds, as you can imagine, we're underdogs. 29-10 for us to win, 19-20 for Chelsea to win. As a special, João Felix 2 shots on target. They've boosted it to 3-1. I put bloody £100 on that. Havertz's scores was 7-4. It's 9-4. A couple of correct scores. 2-1 Chelsea, which Jack predicted is 15-2. 5-0 Chelsea is 100-1, what I predicted, so I'll put £1 on that. 4-1 Wolves, which I might just have £1 on, just you never know, is 100-1 as well. What did you predict, Sam? Did you actually say
2-1 Wolves? Yeah.
11-1, 2-1 Wolves. So yeah, Chelsea big favourites, and I am not surprised, to be honest.
Yes, we are full of the joys of summer this week. Just a couple of transfer rumours. Apparently, Harry Núñez isn't wanted by Liverpool anymore. Too expensive. Probably realistically not good enough. Guedes wants to stay where he is.
Benfica, yeah.
And Semedo may be off to Roma. I know Jose Mourinho has expressed a little bit of an interest in him there. I don't know how long will be left on his contract, actually.
Yeah, it's... I think the Guedes one, no surprise there, is it? I think we kind of expected it. Probably leave. The Semedo one, there's always rumours that every transfer window that comes around that he might go. There's always been a question around him since he's come in, like replacing Doherty. So I could see that one happening. It's going to be an interesting window, to be honest, when it does come round with so many players going. Adama's another interesting one. He's linked with loads of teams still, isn't he? I think he'll go. And yeah, what was the first one? I can't remember the first one that was mentioned. Oh, Núñez. I'm not surprised with that one. Obviously, I think they were interested, but we will want a lot of money for him, won't we? And as we know, he hasn't performed that well. So Liverpool will probably look at it and think, let's get Jude Bellingham instead.
Jude Bellingham might be slightly more expensive.
Yeah, a little bit.
Jack, would you be unhappy to see any of that clan leave?
Yes. to be honest. I mean, a lot of this all will depend on if we do go down, actually, won't it, really? I would want to see Semedo go, in particular, because you got to replace him, and that's easier said than done. I will confess, though, this week, as I said probably earlier, is probably the first time that I've actually, after that Forest game, thought we could really be in trouble here. I've kind of just been thinking, just looking at the table compared to where we were before Lopetegui came in and where we are now, it's a massive improvement. I'm sure we'll get it right. But the last two games have made me question, and I have started looking at like the Championship table and who's coming up from League One, just thinking, oh, who might we be playing next season? Which is a worrying thing, really. I don't know if you lot have been doing the similar thing, but it's just so congested down the bottom that it's just, we put together a couple of results and it'll be happy days. It will be like, we're out of it. It will be 13th, 14th, and everything's good again. But
that's
I
interesting.
don't know about that.
That's an interesting comment. I didn't know that.
I was just checking that, and it says his contract is out at the end of the season. But
so that's not true.
No, it might be true. Obviously, we've got to trigger it, I guess.
So what's he put? Stuart has put, we have a 2-year option on Semedo. So
in our favour. So
I think I'd trigger that, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's probably why we haven't heard any rumours about it. As if it's in our favour, then
don't know about this one. This one would be. We've still got to pay the 43 million for Ait-Nouri if we go down.
Apparently, that's true. I think because we signed him. I know it's was like a loan to buy thing, but I think it was a permanent thing, was compulsory. So I think that's true. God. And
we'll get the 4 million for Cody though.
He's coming in. He's coming in his stride, hasn't he, Kuna? But I haven't seen anything to really justify that price tag. Yeah, I don't think.
Great deflected finish against Leeds. That's not what you're on about.
I mean, that's what do you think, really? Like, I know it's been difficult.
I like him. I think he's a really good player. He's just not a goal scorer, which they were relying on him being a goal scorer. And with that price tag, a lot of Wolves fans were hoping he'd be a goal scorer. But when he plays just out on the left or just behind, or he's got like Sarabia to link with and interchange with, I think he's good. But he's not going to bang in 20 goals a season. He's just not that person. You could see that from early on.
I know we missed out by not signing an out-and-out striker in January, but I honestly think with the way it's been lately, you could stick Harry Kane up there and it wouldn't make a difference, because what's he going to do if you get 2 balls in a game and they're crap? Then what's the expectation? You're not going to suddenly score 30 goals with no service. And at the moment, I mean, like I said, the Forest heat map, there was no service. We just passed it around the back and midfield and couldn't even get past their first line of defence. So
what was that? What are you going to do? I sent that picture for Rouse actually sent to me, that conversion rate. So we've had 327 shots this season, scoring 21 goals. That's a 6.4% conversion rate. I think that just says it all, doesn't it, about our striker problems. We're bottom, obviously.
It's more than I thought.
Of the other 14, we're bottom. Southampton are the closest to us of a 6.9% conversion rate. So that's relegation percentages, isn't it? Let's be honest.
They're shocking. I mean, they're shocking stats, aren't they? Let's face it. But to be fair, everybody seems to be in a similar boat, really. I mean, we've scored 23 goals this season. You think, fuck me, that's woeful. Same as Everton, same as Southampton. Not Forest have only scored 24, and then West Ham have only scored 25.
It's a case now, though, that we're looking at this, not thinking we're good enough to stay up, but thinking, are there 3 teams who are worse than us or in worse positions than us that we could finish above? It's just a proper race to the bottom, isn't it, really? But a win on Saturday would change the whole mood entirely again, and everyone would think it'll be fine. But this is going to go a lot more to the death than I thought it would be. Even a couple of weeks ago, if we just beat Leeds and then got a draw at Forest, everyone would be pretty happy now.
Breathing room.
That's the difference it makes. But the way we're playing, and how erratic it is and how all over the place it is just making me a little bit worried. And if ever we do get battered on Saturday, which could well happen, we could really lose to Chelsea. They've got something to prove. Newish manager in a sense, a new old manager coming in, could be the Roy Hodgson effect, and we get battered. And then suddenly that puts pressure on those games I just mentioned. The home games against Palace, Brentford, and the away game at Leicester, where suddenly if we go through those with 1 point, we are in trouble. That's
what I mean, Jack. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it is a tight. If we do lose, I hope it is tight and we put up a battle. Because if we do get absolutely spanked and Molyneux's empty after 85 minutes or something, then we're so low on confidence going into those crucial games, like you say. So, in that aspect, I really do hope I'm wrong. I hope we don't get battered.
If you're Lopetegui though, what do you say this week? What's your message to the?
First of all, don't spit at anyone. Don't follow me and start swinging fists around and fighting with all the bloody coaching staff. You know what I mean? Calm down a bit. Keep your head. and try and shoot. Maybe that's what I'd say. I'd say see that goal at the end with the white, the poles and the net. Put the ball in there, and we might have a chance. That's what I'd say.
I think the worst piece of possible advice you'd give to Adama Traore is try and shoot more.
Oh, good shout! Yeah, you've got to treat Adama. You've got to treat Adama like Forrest Gump, haven't you? You've got to go right, go, and then just guide him. Just don't run off the pitch if you don't stop him. You have someone shepherding him. Get some coaches of arrows on the pitch. Run into him that way.
He'll be getting the ball to his feet in the right position and just smacking it as hard as he can at the goal.
Well, you said shoot.
Yeah, it just run to Asda if you don't stop it.
Oh, okay. Right, Harry's got a quiz.
I have got a quiz, and it is Chelsea-based.
Oh, good.
A mixture of Chelsea and Wolves questions. So we'll do this. Do you want to do it where if you know it, you just shout it out, or do you want me to go in between the two of you?
Just shout it out. We'll try and beat the comments.
Okay.
We'll try and beat the comment section.
Yeah, right. So question one. Started with a nice, easy one for you, as I always do, which I say easy, you usually get it wrong, but there we go. So question one. Which current first-team squad member used to play for Chelsea?
Costa.
Oh, my God. When you pause then, lads, I got so worried. Yes, Diego Costa. Jesus.
I have to think. I can't do it instantly. I have to have a little think.
Question number two. On the 15th of December, 2020, Wolves beat Chelsea 2-1. Giroud scored for Chelsea. Neto bagged the 95th minute winner. Who scored the other Wolves goal that day? It was in lockdown.
Was that during lockdown?
No crowd. I remember when Neto scored and went mad and jumped was celebrating with no one.
Was it not? I take it wasn't Jimenez.
No, sorry.
I don't know. Comments are going to beat us here.
Do you want a clue? No one in the comments has got it yet. They'll probably Google it. Do you want a clue?
Is it Jota?
What year is it? 2020?
I know.
Yeah, he's in the current team now. It's not Jota.
Newcastle beating West Ham already.
It's that similar sort of player.
Podence.
Yes. I should have stopped giving you clues, shouldn't I?
No, because we've been here all day if you hadn't given us clues.
Yeah, Podence got the other goal that day. Bit of a mad game that one, wasn't it? Number three, which former Wolves player who played for Wolves from 2008 to 2011 started off his career at Chelsea?
Saville.
Michael Mancienne.
No, it is Michael Mancienne. Good one, Jack. Someone put Mancienne in the comments, didn't they, then? But that's for the previous question. Yeah, Mancienne.
The previous question. Who's put that in?
Tom Rouse guessed Mancienne for current player who plays to play for Chelsea.
He's guessed Mancienne again.
It is Mancienne, to be fair, this time. Right. Wolves have played Chelsea 17 times in our Premier League history. How many of those have Wolves won?
17?
Two.
Ooh, close.
Not many.
We beat them the first season back at home, didn't we? Mm-hmm. We beat them in the lockdown game you just mentioned. So if it's not two, it's not many more because they battered us at the start. Or did we beat them under McCarthy?
We beat them.
We did. We beat them under McCarthy, didn't we? Where?
Yeah. So it's
three.
It is three. Yeah. It was when was it Stephen Hunt scored, or was it like an own goal? Remember?
It was an own goal. I think it was. It was given us. Yeah.
We've Chelsea have won 10 of them. We've drew 4. Just to let you know of the 17. Question 5. Wolves have played Chelsea 10 times in our history at Stamford Bridge. How many times have we won there?
I don't think we have. Last question.
I think we've won once there. That's Premier League.
It's Premier League.
Sam's saying once.
And once. Yeah.
That's incorrect, Jack.
I don't think we have.
Yeah, that's right. We've
never won at Stamford Bridge.
Yes.
Not in the Premier League, no.
Not in the Premier League, no.
Chelsea won 7. Hang on. If we played them 10 times at Stamford Bridge, you must have played them at least 9 at Molineux.
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, because in the previous question, he said we played them 17 times in the Premier League.
You'll have to check with the start.
What is wrong? What is wrong?
It could have been 19 times. I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, next question. Yes, we've never won at Stamford Bridge, which is the most important
good
point.
stat.
Yeah. Where was I? What question did I say that was? 4. Yeah. So that was 5. Question 6. On the 27th of March 2004, Wolves lost 5-2 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Which former Chelsea striker came off the bench on his birthday to score a hat-trick to seal the win for Chelsea?
Hasselbank.
Oh, straight in. Not even a thought. Yeah, he got old then as well, wasn't he? Who else scored that day? I did write it down, but now I forget.
Mm.
For Wolves, it was Jody Craddock and Emery Kamara. We went 1-0 up. That's straight from the memory
lost
bank.
5-2.
Yeah, for Chelsea, I'm sure Lampard scored. That's just the
Didn't they
guess.
do it? Didn't
Did
they do
Damien
us 5
Duff
at
score?
home that season as well?
Yeah, they beat us 5-1 at Molineux that season. That's not in the questions, though.
Yeah.
Question 7. On the 14th of September 2019, Wolves also lost 5-2 to Chelsea at Molineux. Tammy Abraham scored a hat-trick. Mason Mount and Tomori scored the other 2. Patrick Catrone scored one of the goals for Wolves, but who scored the other Wolves goal that day?
Oh, was it Cody?
Tammy Abraham wouldn't it? Own goal.
Oh my God, that's a great one, Sam. I thought that'd get you.
Oh,
It was a Tammy Abraham own goal.
It was such a bad. That was
horrendous. That game, wasn't it?
Such a bad game.
That was when Cody got absolutely torn to shreds by Abraham, wasn't it? Like I've never seen anything so bad. And then we had Vallejo next to him, which was just like recipe for disaster.
Oh, that was the game where we were watching Vallejo, and we were just said as a joke. Every time he gets past the ball, he just kicks it out of play, and he did.
And did it.
He got past it in the right back position because of where we sit, like down the front on the right hand side. Every time it just went out of play.
He looked up, went to pass it. Would it have been Doherty then, or would it have been Semedo? It'd probably been Doherty, wouldn't it? He just went to pass it to whoever was right wing back, and nearly Jeff Shee, didn't he, in the Billy Wright upper?
It was funny actually because it was the first time, or there was a time since Abraham had torn Cody to pieces since he did it for Bristol City. I think the season before or 2 seasons before, because he just couldn't cope with him.
Like I said, with Cody, anybody with a bit of strength and pace, he just can't cope. Which is pretty much most Premier League strikers. So.
Correct. Yeah.
And then Vallejo went on to win the Champions League.
Last. So funny, isn't it? That? You can't believe it. So, was that the game? Sorry, just go on a tangent. Was that the game when Bennett did that super slide tackle, or was that a different one?
That was a different game. That was when we were good.
That was when we were good. Last question. Chelsea's biggest ever league defeat, not Premier League, just league, came against Wolves in 1953. What was the score that day?
Biggest ever league defeat. 9-0.
Sam said 7-1. That's incorrect. 9-0 is incorrect.
11-0. Incorrect.
7-2.
7-1 was close. I'll give you that.
7-0.
8-1.
8-1. Yes. Chelsea's biggest. 7-1's close. You add one more, it's 8-1. Sorry. Everyone's saying 13-0, 8-0, 13-0 Aquatic Ranger, 8-0 Tom, 6-1 Steve. No, it was 8-1 with give Chelsea their biggest ever league defeat. And ironically, they're going to give us our biggest ever league defeat the weekend. So there we go. That's the quiz.
Well, thank you for doing that, Harry. We do enjoy I'm looking at what our biggest loss is.
I'll just say, Tom Rouse, you've been in the comments all night. I did ask you to come on. If you'd have come on, I've seen you getting all the quiz answers right. You should have just been here. Replace Bayliss, get the mic back out the cupboard, dust it off. But
our biggest,
maybe next time.
Our biggest league defeat is 10-1 or 10-2 against Man United. 10-1, 1892.
Oh my God! Did they even have ball? They're playing with pig bladders, then, weren't they?
Yeah. There you go. Right, okay. Well, best of luck if you're making your way to Molineux on Saturday. Is, of course, as Jack mentioned, the bank holiday weekend. So I imagine it will get nice and messy. Drinkies. But what we'll do is we'll say goodbye. Hopefully not forever, even though it's going to be a big weekend of drinking to Harry Mansell.
Goodbye. Just going to read this comment before I go. Paul said, "Keep the faith, Harry," because I've been quite negative. I'll try, Paul, but it's hard at the moment. See you, everyone.
And goodbye from Jack Williams.
Yeah, bye, everybody.
And it is a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Ta-da.